guys, weekend energy update. Let's get into it. We have a lot to talk about this weekend. We are, of course, right now in a period of sort of elevating levels of tension going on that started with the full moon in Capricorn that we had last weekend. This weekend, that might become quite noticeable, sort of in our experience, could sort of feel like the pressure is on somehow. We have Saturn stationing retrograde in the sky on Saturday. Whenever a planet stations in its motion, it amplifies the energy of that planet. So we're talking about some amplified Saturnian energy that we are moving through all weekend. We also had the moon coming into a conjunction with Saturn in the energy of Thursday. So we've really been in a lot of this Saturnian energy strong all week, but it's probably quite notable in the way that things are just playing out this weekend, and we're going to talk about that. Now, the other thing that we have going on this weekend, as we have the black moon ending her 9-month transit through the sign of Virgo, entering the sign of Libra, preparing us for another 9-month journey through the underworld of our own psyche, but this time in the realms of Libra energy, and we need to talk about that. But let me tell you, between the combination of Saturn stationing retrograde in Pisces and the black moon entering Libra on the same day, this to me is bringing up also themes of a period of time having to do with perhaps some type of karmic reckoning, some type of judgment, some type of justice, but the scales of balance being rebalanced somehow in some capacity. So there's that. Let's get into it, you guys. We got a lot to talk about today, a lot playing out there for our weekend coming at us. Let's see all that we have going on, how everything's coming together, and what we might be able to expect as we move through our weekend. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, June 28th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're going to talk about the astrology that we have playing out June 28th through the 30th, closing out this month of June 2024. And we're doing it in some pretty big astrology that's going on. We have, of course, Saturn stationing retrograde this weekend. This is the primary energetic frequency that we have coming through, and we also, as I mentioned, have the black moon entering the sign of Libra, which is going to be bringing a bit of an energetic shift in terms of sort of like the triggers, okay, that we may be navigating throughout the course of the next 9 months. So we're going to talk about that in our report today as well, and we're just going to get our toes wet really in terms of talking about the black moon in the sign of Libra. This will be an evolving discussion over the course of the next several months, but generally, let's talk first about where we're at before we kind of zero in on what is happening now and how that is being impacted and playing into both where we're coming from and where we're going next. Okay, so number one, we know that right now we are in a 2-week period between the full moon in Capricorn, which is ruled by the planet Saturn, which is the star of the weekend, and the new moon in Cancer that's going to be coming up next week. That full moon in Capricorn, it was characterized by a grand cross, or a T-square if you weren't counting the black moon. If you guys watched my video on the full moon in Capricorn, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I was saying that chart to me looked like a setup for an incoming period of time that was going to be characterized by elevating levels of tension that would come to a climax somewhere around the second week of July, which would then find their release and pressure valve with the incoming of the third week in July, when we actually have a second full moon in the sign of Capricorn playing out. I find it to be awfully ironic that of all the times Saturn could have stationed retrograde, Saturn happened to station retrograde right in the midst of the one period of time where we've actually got 2 Capricorn full moons that are playing out. We've got 2 of them going on this year. The first one that we just had happened at 1 degree of Cancer and Capricorn. The next one that will happen, I think it's on or around July 21st. And of course, as we move forward in time, we'll get there and we'll talk all about it. But happening, I think, on July 21st at either 28 or 29 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn. So we had a super early degree full moon in Capricorn, and we're going to have a super late degree full moon in Capricorn that is coming up next. And right in between there, we have Saturn stationing retrograde in the sign of Pisces. So anyways, that full moon was telling me that we are moving through a period of time right now that was likely to be characterized by these elevating levels of tension, right? And then what do we have turn around literally the next week after that full moon happens is we have Saturn stationing retrograde. Saturn is a planet that is notorious for putting pressure on things, okay? It's the ringed planet. It's restrained. It's limited. It's always within this pressurized, like, orbit of its own ring that goes around it. You know what I mean? So when we're dealing with a prominent, amplified Saturnian energy, it's likely to be putting the pressure on things. We can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It can definitely be like narrowing our focus or our purview of experience to like kind of show us the dimension of our reality that is colored by like the more pessimistic side of thing. Like it narrows our mind, it can narrow our focus so that we're only seeing or experiencing the more like oppressive, difficult, challenging aspects of our lives. And because of that, it can kind of just make us feel like everything is like all encompassingly repressive, and we can just feel like, again, you know, overburdened, like the responsibility is too much, like we can't go on, like weird. And in the sign of Pisces, there is likely to be, I will tell you, there is likely to be over this next several months maybe a strong urge to just like give up, give in, surrender, throw in the towel, like not like work for it anymore, like maybe abandon maybe some goals that we've been working towards or something. And another thing that I really want to say is that I feel like the best way that we need to deal with this energy, Saturn also brings lessons, Saturn brings tests. This is an inner test on one level to see what we are willing to sort of persevere through, okay? To see how motivated we are when nobody is making us do it. To see if we are going to be able to be like an inspiration and a motivation to our own pursuit of building and creating like the next chapter of our lives for ourselves, or if we're just sort of gonna like kick back, stick our head in the sand and like escape from reality and avoid doing what we know we need to do just because maybe nobody is telling us that we have to or like forcing us to. Self-discipline and our ability to motivate ourselves to keep working even when we don't want to keep pushing forward even when we feel like giving up, to do the right thing even though no one's looking over our shoulder and making us do it. To me, like that is the test and the lesson that this particular Saturn retrograde in Pisces is introducing. And also, another also here, because this is happening, Saturn is stationing retrograde on the same day that the black moon is entering the sign of Libra. I feel like another sort of test and lesson here, and we'll talk more about this information and flush it out more as we move through this video and actually, you know, as we move through this period of time where the black moon is transiting Libra. But a lot of times, black moon and Libra, it triggers fears of being cast out, fears of not being able to relate, fears of not being accepted, fears of not being perceived as like perfect, as not being the ideal image in some way or another. And when we've got black moon and Libra energy going on, sometimes it can cause us to sacrifice or surrender the authentic like dynamics or the more pure dynamics of ourselves in order to maintain some type of image or maintain some type of appearance or like seem like we are some type of way that is like more acceptable. And there can be like a real fear of like, again, like being cast out or being different. The advice here that I want to lead with as we're introduced to this energy and as the Saturn influence is strong alongside of it is not to get into relationships over this period of time specifically out of some type of fear of loneliness. This energy can bring on sort of like manipulative, deceptive, like unfaithful behavior in order to sort of like cover our bases and feel secure against maybe any type of perceived threat of being alone. Okay. And Saturn, right? Saturn brings our tests. Saturn is also a more like hermit type of energy, withdrawn energy. you may find yourself in a situation over this next several months where you feel like it's sort of you against the world and really coming up against some deep fears or triggers about being alone or about not fitting in or about like redefining yourself in such a way that makes you like an outcast from some type of group. We do not want to succumb to any relationship that just comes along or to try to overly control the relationship components and dynamics in our lives out of that fear of not being accepted or not being, you know, the fear of loneliness, essentially. So I want to say that as well, because I feel like that is also something that people are likely to be dealing with now. The black moon entering the sign of Libra. Remember, we've got North Node, South Node transiting Aries and Libra right now. The North Node in the sign of Aries, I've been talking about this. This is a season, okay, of like our own personal leadership era, having to step into like our own independent journey, like maybe needing to go it alone for a little while. And with Saturn retrograding in Pisces, this could also be sort of like the breakdown in the support that we have, you know, felt, or the foundations or the beliefs or the ideals that we've seen in one capacity or another that we've held or that we've maintained somehow. Traditions are going to be breaking down as well. So it's important, you know, as we move through this period of time, not to lose sight of the fact that for a lot of us, universe is just requiring a solitary journey, like as we move through this next couple of months with Saturn retrograde, specifically in the black moon in the sign of Libra. But it's so that we can actually get to know ourselves better, so that we can become more self-reliant, so that we can come into a greater understanding of our potential and like of our purpose and stuff like that, where we wouldn't be able to maybe if we were distracted by the energy of other people around us all the time. And with the black moon in Libra, this could definitely be putting us in situations where we and coming soon into a pending conjunction with the South Node as well, where there are karmic endings underway in regards to the image that we've presented and sort of aligned ourselves with, maybe the facades or the like people-pleasing tendencies that we have had going on, or perhaps even like literally like the friends groups and the associations or the romantic partnerships. We could find ourselves moving through a couple month period of time where we are really discovering that we are outgrowing the relational associations that suited us in the past but are just not like a vibrational match for us anymore. And as a result of that, having to face some fears about being alone. But it's not forever, and what it's actually going to do is make you stronger and a better partner or a better friend or a better companion or a better teammate, whatever, you know, however the relational thing is going on moving forward, so that when the people do come back together, like when we do find, you know, our new tribe or attract new relationships or, you know, reunite perhaps with people who are going their separate way right now, that we will actually be a better fit for each other, and we will actually be stronger in and of ourselves, so that we can be more supportive of like the growth and purpose and potential of others as well. Because that's really what this is all about in the context of our narrating the shift of the ages. It has everything to do right now with universe, like bit by bit by bit, nudging us towards this individual process of self-actualization as we move more deeply into the Aquarian energies that are beginning to root themselves on the planet right now, especially over the next 20 years as Pluto transits through the sign of Aquarius, leading to a greater 2,000-year age of Aquarius that is incoming now. Part of the shift and transition of ages has everything to do with actually humanity making that shift in response to the changing energy patterns that are coming through, sort of recalibrating our own vibrations and frequencies, awakening, okay, to the greater purpose and the greater potential that we are all divinely anointed with when we come into this reality, and like waking up to the destiny that universe has in store for us. And through that awakening, setting forth on this process of self-actualization, and that in and of itself, that frequency change right there, as it's alchemy also, you know, as we transmute from the previous state of being and the vibration that we held in association with that to the new state of being that is a reflection of these Aquarian frequencies and vibrations that are coming in right now, these evolved frequencies that are pulling us forward right now, like that is actually how we manifest and root the shift of ages into the physical world. Like we do it through adjusting and reflecting our personal vibrations to the new vibrations that are coming through right now by like going through these changes. And in order to make that happen, we have to let go of the way that we defined ourselves in the past. And at this point in time, with the South Node transiting Libra, it's how we defined ourselves in terms of our image, our appearance, and our relationship to ourselves and others. And the like reciprocity is a really big theme here that we're dealing with as well, like the give and the take, our ability to contribute and to receive, and how that plays out, you know, in the relational component in terms of like finances and money, which ultimately translates into energy, and also the way that we are now beginning to experience ourselves in the context of both our relationship to ourselves and the role that we play in group dynamics and stuff like that as well. So it's going to be, I do feel like, quite a transformative period of time that we move through in the context of our relationships. We're also going to be wrapping up the nodal transit through Aries and Libra over this next several months as well, while the Black Moon is transiting Libra. So we're going to be gaining a lot of awareness about our triggers in relationships, like things that we've been holding deep within us that maybe we've been feeling like are unfair, issues to do with our own inner harmony, our own inner peace, our own inner balance, and maybe what unhealed subconscious wounds or traumas resulting from relationship issues or ways that we've been programmed in the context of relationships have contributed to, you know, some of these shadow side issues going on that we need to gain an awareness of and clear up now. So we've got that. Also, the South Node is, of course, karma, the past, and Saturn stationing retrograde on Saturday as the Black Moon enters Libra is also about karma, also about the past. There could be, that's what I'm saying, like there could be some type of karmic reckoning that is coming up right now, karmic accountability that is underway, a rebalancing of things that have been out of balance relationally, perhaps, for long periods of time. And this could also have to do with belief systems, tradition, authority, like issues to do with perhaps the father as well. It's interesting because while we have Saturn station, we also have this square going on between the Sun and Venus and Mercury in the sign of Cancer, and the Moon, and also Chiron in the sign of Aries. So let's go back to the energy of Friday now that I've kind of talked all about the, I guess, like the main vibes that we have coming through this weekend with the Black Moon changing signs, and Saturn is the predominant energy here, stationing retrograde. But on Friday, we have the Moon. I said, you know, first quarter square, the Moon transiting Aries. We've got the Sun in the beginning of the sign of Cancer. So this is likely to bring up, you know, contribute to these elevating levels of tension right now as well. But it is, you know, it could have to do with themes of like the individual, maybe like versus the family dynamic, or conflict between the desire to like act and move forward and move ahead with something versus maybe what feels safe, what feels comfortable, and like how things have always been or what we've always known. There is a breakdown in tradition. The way that things have always been is going to be changing as we move forward through the rest of this summer. So Aries up against the Cancer energy, the Moon in the sign of Aries versus the Sun and Venus and Mercury in the sign of Cancer. Conflict between the individual and a family dynamic somehow. And with Mercury actually an exact square to Chiron on Friday as well, I would not be surprised if some of the wounds that are surfacing right now and being addressed could actually be maybe causing conflict that goes on. And this could be, we're talking about Chiron, there could be like early childhood stuff with the Cancer energy and the Moon energy, you know, things to do with the mother, things to do with the early childhood, the upbringing, early community and stuff like that. And with Chiron there, this and Mercury, there could be some painful conversations that are being had. There could be some emotional wounds or trauma that are being like spoken about or triggered somehow that do have to do with home, family, authority, or inner child or early, not inner, well, the inner child, yes, but like early childhood trauma or issues somehow. But then we do have on Saturday, Saturn going retrograde, the black moon entering Libra. Again, this is like karmic accountability. So themes to do with home and family, the individual being independent versus being like part of like a cohesive family dynamic, or things to do, maybe like deep held secrets or something that are like coming to the surface that are being spoken about that are bringing up some type of conflict, toxic relationship dynamics somehow that are surfacing and maybe requiring some type of an accountability somehow, but you know, blockage, interference, criticism, harsh judgment, things feeling slow, things feeling heavy, bleak, depressing. Like this is what is a tendency, okay, when we have strong Saturnian energy, and surrendering control of that which is out of our control to a higher power this weekend with the faith that things are going to work out. This, I do think, is another sort of side of the lessons that are being presented and coming through in this energy. It is a period of deconstruction, I think. Saturn is about construction. Saturn is the builder energy. Saturn manifests things, it grounds things into reality. It's about form, it's about structure. When we've got Saturn going retrograde, especially in the sign of Pisces, which, you know, I've been talking about this so much lately, the Saturn, Neptune, Capricorn, Pisces combination of energy has been very prominent throughout the course of this month of June and heading into July. And these two, it's two like very, very oppositional energies. Like I said, Saturn is the builder. Like Saturn lays foundations and Neptune washes them away. Neptune erodes things, it dissolves things, it dissipates things, it breaks things down. And when we've got Saturn in the sign of Pisces, this is not a sure footing to begin with. But then when we've got Saturn going retrograde, this is going to be a deconstruction period. There are going to be breakdowns of things in many ways, along many lines, especially in terms of rules, authority, guidelines, restriction. Again, this themes of tradition. It could be belief systems as well, but control, systems of control, management, government, all of this type of stuff. And that is another reason why I said in the beginning that we're going to want to do our best to practice self-discipline, to cultivate self-discipline as we move through this period of time, because we're just probably really not going to have any. And the tendency is going to be to sort of like let it all go off the rails in this energy, preferring to escape from the difficulty or the responsibility and the endurance maybe required to get through things rather than to face them. But although it may seem like everything is falling apart, although it may seem like nothing is going our way or really working out, or like we can't really make anything happen, or we don't know what to do, or the guidelines just like aren't there and we're kind of having to like figure it out on our own, recommitting to our faith, strengthening our inner resolve to align with our higher spiritual purpose, that actually is the goal here, okay? Like that is the test, that is the lesson. What are we gonna do when nobody's looking? You know, when nobody's making us do it, when we don't have to do the right thing because there's not necessarily a immediate consequence that we're aware of. Not that there's never a consequence, because we're talking about Saturn ruling time, ruling karma. So there's always going to be a karmic repercussion when we're dealing with the Saturnian energy, but it's sort of like delayed karma here, and not necessarily like an instant karmic repercussion, you know, that we're picking up on. So it's like, you know, what are we gonna do when nobody's looking? We don't have to do the right thing, but we need to. That's the test. Like we need to choose to strengthen our resolve to the goals and to the purpose that we feel ourselves aligning with now, even maybe when we feel like we can't, or we don't have it within us, or like it's an impossible pursuit. We just have to keep putting one foot in front of the other and have the discipline to do something to move ourselves forward, even if it's just something small. And I'm telling you guys, like if we keep it up in that direction, if we keep pushing even when nobody else is, or even when, you know, we've got to do it alone, or even if it's like us against the world, or even if we feel like we can't take one more step, taking one more even like baby step, once we move through this energy, I'm telling you, it is going to make you so, you are going to be so glad that you did that, because you're going to find yourself in a place where you are now prepared to take on some opportunity, or to manage something, or to handle something that is actually what you wanted, or is in your best interest, or is something beneficial to you that you can do now because of what you like did during this period of time that you wouldn't have been able to do unless you like pushed yourself forward without knowing that that thing was even going to be there. Like, I feel like that's the type of, like, there's delayed gratification, okay? Like, there's rewards waiting for what we're able to endure through now, when we feel like we just can't go on, and, you know, maybe like everything is stacked against us or something like that. So keep moving forward, cultivate self-discipline. If everybody else is being, you know, lazy around you and like off their game and not sticking to the regimen or the plan or moving towards the goal, don't allow yourself to, and you know, Black Moon in Libra, the tendency again is going to be to like sacrifice like what's truly in our heart in order to fit into some type of group, or to not have to experience the fear of being alone. But maybe this period of time requires you to be alone so that you can actually go through this training process to prepare for whatever that thing is that, you know, God, universe, Great Spirit, the divine has waiting in the wings for you, that you are moving towards but can't get to unless you go through this period of self-refinement, self-reflection, self-relation that, you know, will lead you down to whatever it is that is what is coming for you. And it is, I mean, we're going through a period of rebirth right now as well. There are so many new beginnings that are right, you know, we are right on the precipice of. But again, taking it back to that full moon in Capricorn that we are coming out of right now, that was really talking about the past in a lot of ways, not like wanting to let go, okay? And the inherent conflict that can arise between an old version that is gripping on like for dear life, and a new version that has not yet discovered the confidence to sort of step forward and like just shake off the like old whatever that's hanging on. So it's kind of like this transition point that we've been going through. And, you know, now that we've got the Black Moon entering Libra, we cannot allow the fear of being alone to keep us attached to a past that is just not existing for us anymore as we're moving forward. That will keep us attached to our old karma, and to our old cycles, and to our old like ways of being limited and restricted and detached from the truth of where we're being called now. So it's also, you know, a very significant period of time about release and surrender and letting go of things, moving on from things. Again, like I said, deconstruction, breakdown, old foundations falling away. Like, this is definitely like the way that things have always been is just not the way that they're going to be anymore. It does feel like a period of time where some type of karmic balancing could be underway, especially in regards also to, again, these like old wrongs or old systems or old orders that maybe have been corrupted over time being righted somehow. This could also be legally oriented, with both Saturn and the sign of Libra being emphasized this weekend. Saturn and Libra both have to do with judgment and can have to do with like legal type of situations. So there's also that. Another thing that I do want to say, the symbolism of 0 degrees or 1 degree of the sign of Libra really, I feel like, is very symbolic, metaphorical for the Black Moon's transit through the sign of Libra itself. And as we kick off this Black Moon Libra transit, I feel like it's a really good place to start with in terms of the Sabian symbols, just because I do feel like it really kind of encapsulates the overall present themes when we're dealing with Black Moon Libra energy. And that Sabian symbol of 1 degree of the sign of Libra is a butterfly made perfect by a dart through it. So if you think about that symbolism, we have this beautiful, this perfect presentation, right? exactly how it should be. Perfect form, perfect specimen. The Libra energy loves exquisite beauty and balance and harmony and all that is lovely and artistic and in its proper form. But how is it made perfect? It's made perfect by a dart through it. It literally had to sacrifice its soul in order to maintain that image and that appearance of perfection. This is what we're dealing with when we've got Black Moon Libra energy strong. And of course, it is also like extrapolates out to the reciprocity with things and our ability to relate with others and our ability to be accepted in the group, the images that we maintain, the appearances that we keep up, and the lengths that we are willing to go to, the sacrifices that we are willing to make in terms of like our own personal life force and essence in order to be presented or be received or be accepted or be seen as a certain type of way. How have we literally sacrificed our soul to be perfect? A butterfly made perfect by a dart through it. And of course, the butterfly, this is the air element as well. We're talking about Libra. This is also air energy. So I think a lot of what we might be dealing with throughout the course of the next 9 months as the Black Moon transits the sign of Libra is coming to terms with maybe aspects of ourselves that we have sacrificed in order to be received or to be seen or to be accepted as some type of way. And as the Black Moon comes into conjunction with the South Node, these fears that we're finally ready to let go of, that may have been holding on to us for a long period of time, so that we can actually be released to redefine ourselves, North Node in Aries, pursue our purpose, North Node in Aries, be more independent at this period of time so that we can rediscover our true selves, so that we can actually have better relationships, better connections, better experiences in each and every context of our, reality when it comes to others and the relationship to ourselves as well going forward. So all of that, you guys, that's basically what I'm going to say about our astrology today. I also do want to note, though, that Mars and Venus are in a sextile right now. Mars is in the sign of Taurus. Venus is a sign of Cancer. They're sort of like traveling through the signs in this sextile, and they're going to be, relatively close degree range. It is exact, though, in the energy of this weekend. And Venus is also in kind of a loose square to Saturn as he stations retrograde. Again, Mars in a sextile to Saturn, Mars in a sextile to Venus, this is going to bring up relationship dynamics, things to do with relationships. Mars is behind Venus as well. This could be like pursuit of relationships and stuff like that. But with Venus squaring Saturn and the Black Moon entering the sign of Libra, again, we want to make smart choices in relationships right now. Be mature and self-disciplined about things in regards to relationships and have respect for yourself, your values, and your worth. Do not get into relationships or lie or cheat or manipulate people so that you don't have to face some fear of being alone. Be alone. Learn to get through it. If that's where you find yourself right now, it's because that is where you need to be. It is not going to be forever, but there could just be, something that needs to be overcome. You may just need to spend some time with yourself. You may need to get to know yourself again. You may need to learn to be your own friend. You may need to just, be in the silence for a little bit. You may need to cut yourself off from all of the commotion and all of the distractions and everybody else's energy. Universe, I'm telling you, has a plan for you right now. And if it is a solitary journey for the next couple months, so be it. Honestly, what's the worst that can happen? You go through a period of withdrawn isolation where you're working on yourself and you come out the other side better, stronger, more knowledgeable, more resilient, more capable, more secure, more confident. And then you approach the world through that evolved vibration, and the people that you're going to find yourself with are going to be so much more fulfilling and supportive of the path that you're on now. So we are not giving into the fear. We are not allowing ourselves to sort of succumb to maybe the tendency of feeling right now everything is it's just the end of the world and everything is over and we can't make anything happen, or just woe is me, all that type of stuff. No, we're realizing that this is a period of time where we need to learn to pull it out of ourselves, and the delayed gratification that is going to be on the other side of this. I'm telling you guys, it will be worth it. So that's what I'm going to say about our astrology for today. Let's get a synchronicity card now. I don't usually do tarot readings when I do these weekend videos, just because it's like a 3-day outlook. They take me a long time to prepare, and a lot of times, like, it's like a longer video, and then I just don't want to add like the extra time for the tarot and stuff like that. But I will say I did cut the deck when I was doing this, when I was preparing to shoot this video, just to see, you know, what would be there in the context of the Saturn station. And look, the card, the Justice card. I feel like this particular Saturn retrograde with the Black Moon, Libra, all of that, I do feel like some type of prolonged, perhaps, rebalancing of the scales in the context of some type of justice or some type of judgment is going to be coming through right now, based actually in like a higher truth that we're finding out about, maybe that we had not perceived in the past. So we got that as well. Let's get a synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe, what is a final message, piece of advice that maybe can help us or provide some upliftment or just some assistance as we move through the energy this weekend? And our card for the day says don't fight it, which is entirely appropriate. We've got this strong Saturnian influence in the sign of Pisces going retrograde. We need to surrender the burden, you guys. If you find yourself in a situation where things just feel out of your control, strengthening your resolve, strengthening your faith, surrendering the burden to the higher power with the knowledge, okay, that things are going to work out. Don't fight it. Release those subject to bondage. Hebrews 2:15. Whatever type of restriction or bondage you find yourself experiencing, don't fight against it mentally. Like, that is literally restriction and bondage. Like, that's Saturn all day. Don't fight against it mentally. No, God will open up a new door for you and lead you to peace and freedom. That's what I'm saying. We just need to keep at it. We just need to keep going, even if it's just one small step every day, even if we don't feel like we can do it. Don't, you know, it's also the sign of Pisces. There's, Neptune's at 29 Pisces right now. So, and you know, so much of what we're dealing with right now, the struggles and the just issues, and again, the blockages or the restrictions or the bondage, like, so much of it is actually more illusionary than we know right now, and it's not going to stay how it is, okay? So don't fight it. Everything's gonna be all right. We're ultimately moving in the right direction, and this is a period of time to harden ourselves, okay? So that's what I'm gonna say. Message from the stars, message from the synchronicity cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would be interested in this type of astrology content as well. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence here. I value you guys so much. What you guys have to say means a lot to me, and I really appreciate knowing what is going on out there with you guys. If you are having experiences that do line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here lovely whiteboard over here, I have a Facebook group that is also linked in my description box below, where I post images of that. That's where you'll find that. Come back with me on Monday. We're getting into a whole new week of astrology. We're getting into a whole new month of astrology, and I will be here to talk about it, you guys. You should be here too. You do not want to miss it, and I will see you then. Have a lovely weekend, everyone, and until then, bye guys.